in life, we're going to have to go through some things. And some of those things are simply for the glory of God. Once we grasp that concept, we won't take everything so personally and be ready to give up and get frustrated because we'll know that it's not really about us. It's not really against us. It's bigger than us, that it is truly so that the manifestation of the glory of God can be evident in our lives. As always, it is such a pleasure to present the Sanctuary Sunday School here at the Sanctuary Academy. You want to go to the website, www.thesanctuary.academy, and get into that Google Classroom. You also want to make sure that you are subscribed and tap that bell. We have major announcements coming this week. We've crossed a milestone and now I'm ready to go to the next level. We've been working, putting everything in place. Thank you for working with us and being patient through the construction. We are ready to take off, so do not miss out. This week's subject is consequences for injustice, and we can find the text in the book of Habakkuk. Now, we're still in this book, and we started in Habakkuk last week, and he was upset about the evil and the wickedness that he was saying and asking God, don't you see this? What are you going to do? And so then when God responded to Habakkuk, he wasn't quite pleased with the answers because God was going to judge his people, but he was also going to use heathen nations. And Habakkuk kind of felt like, well, wait a minute, how are you going to use them? And so now we're seeing that come to pass. And we're talking about Habakkuk's judgment. And we're talking about injustice and how, you have the Babylonians and the Chaldeans. They were just really doing some terrible things to people. And this is what the children of Israel were going through. And they were stealing. Habakkuk addressed, how you going to take stuff that's not yours and just go in and take plunder and just steal and rob people and just take everything. And those are the kind of people that they were. They were thieves and they were murderers. And it was just so much violence. And, I thought about that, man, because I keep saying that, but it's so true. These lessons are so timely and they mirror very much what we see in society today. And I can identify with Habakkuk saying, how long? How long do we have to put up with this? Even nowadays, as we watch the news, and every day it gets worse and worse. One day I was working on my computer and I had to just shut down my social media because I just didn't want to see or read any more of it. Not that I'm not aware of what's going on, but if you look at it and if you look at what's happening, it will look like that people can just go on and get away, literally get away with murder and do whatever they want, and there's no accountability for it. But this lesson talks about consequences for injustice. And vengeance is mine, said the Lord. It's not us. And so it's up to us to do what the Lord said, right? And to tell people what the Lord said and really uphold the law of God. But the vengeance belongs to the Lord. And so here we see Habakkuk is talking about woe. And anytime you see that word woe, that's when you say that there's something very bad or catastrophic happening. And he was talking about that. And even though when you think of the kingdoms, the Babylonian kingdom and the Chaldeans, these were rich, powerful, great kingdoms. And so when you speak of the injustices and the kingdoms, they would be equivalent of the world powers of today. The United States would be considered a world power. So what these people were doing, they were the biggest and the most powerful in the world, and they would seem to be undefeatable, unbeatable, that there was nothing that anybody could do about it and just deal with it. And I'm just going to throw this in here. We're in the midst of an election here in the United States. And a lot of people are saying, well, there's no reason to vote because there's nothing we can do about it. But I am a witness that if we do what we're supposed to do, God will handle his. And so we're talking about, they said they're going to be defeated. They're going to be taken down. They're going to be destroyed in God's time. We don't have to worry about our enemies and how it may seem unfair and that they're getting away with murdering. And as we know, these countries, not only were they coming against the children of Israel, but they were kind of like bullies. You know, bullying is the buzzword in today's society, and it was like they just did whatever they wanted. But you have to always remember that nothing, no one is more powerful than God. God stated in his word that there are consequences, and God is the just God who will make the final judgment call, and not just the final judgment call, even here on earth. He will be able to judge the unrighteous and the ungodly. So there's never a reason for you to feel like it's no use. You're going to give up, because that's not what's going to happen. God's people had to go through some things because of sin. And a lot of time God used heathen nations to exact his judgment against his people. But it did not mean that he was going to exalt those nations above his people, because as you read through the Old Testament, you will see where the people of God repented and where God went in and destroyed these nations. And that's what we're talking about, where it talks about God and the people of God. And it says the earth is going to be filled with his glory as the water covers the sea. That is so powerful. See, that's what I was saying at the beginning. Everything is for the glory of God. And it's unfortunate that we have people who just do things as if they are above reproach, and they don't realize that everybody is accountable to God. God is sovereign, and he has power over everyone and everything. And all that you have to do is hold on. And I know that if I have one person watching, if I have 10 people watching, that somebody is dealing with and going through injustice right now. It just doesn't seem fair. It just doesn't seem right. But God sees all and he knows all. See, sometimes these things are distractions to keep us from doing God's will, but you have to make up your mind. For God I live, for God I die, and be committed to God and allow God to handle injustice in his own time. Because as we see here in this word today, there are truly and definitely consequences for injustice.